Let's look at the stats, right? Because it's not just the closing bell on this Friday, it's the closing bell for the week, it's the closing bell for the month. Let us start with the week, shall we? It's a down week for the major averages, the worst week for the S&P and the Dow since mid-April, the worst for NASDAQ since the 1st of May. So you're looking at the one-week movements in stocks because we've had some volatility today and throughout the week. These numbers have been changing quite a bit. I wanted to focus in on the month for the S&P 500. There we have seen a gain for the full month of May. In fact, the gain now standing at about 1.25%. Why is that important that we in particular would see that gain? As Alex mentioned, there's that famous saying, sell in May and go away. And we got some good stats from Standard & Poor's Sam Stovall earlier today. He says from 1946 to 2014, if you look at that May-October period, the S&P saw an average gain of 1.3%. It rose 64% of the time. However, in the years when there was a gain in May, like this year, for example, that gain in the May to October period jumped to 3.5%, and the index was up 78% of the time. In other words, sell in May and go away. You might want to buy in May and hold on for this 6-month period. So something to just consider as we look at this period of time. I also wanted to take a look at some of the best and worst performers for the S&P for the month. I'm not sure how well you can read it, but I'll read it for you. These are the sectors. So healthcare and financials, the two best performing sectors this month. Energy and telecom services, the two worst performing sectors. And then if you look at individual stocks, Broadcom and Avago are on the top of the list, not just for this week, as you might imagine, but for the month as well, with the combination of those two companies. On the bottom, we've got Michael Kors and Frontier Communications doing the worst that we have seen out of all of the S&P stocks for the month.